It's been great to play and sing together in the box, but now
it's time to say goodbye.
Go so long.
Farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now. Until we meet again, I said so long. Farewell to you, my friends. Goodbye for now. Until we meet again. Wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah, Taylor just sent me a TikTok of it, and I was like, oh, that was my shit.
All right, well, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yes, welcome back to this very millennial podcast.
About books.
About books.
Not
the Bookaholics.
out of the box.
Not out of the box. But we are recording in a box. Quite literally. Haley has really outdone herself with this setup. The microphone is quite literally in a box of...
Soundproofing. It's foam.
Just foam.
Yeah, it's like what you put on the wall to soundproof your room, but it's actually around the microphone because I did not have the money to soundproof my office.
Yeah, that feels like a lot, but
we did this last time, so...
It's perfect. I love it.
And it sounded fine.
It's in the box.
It's in the box. I thought outside of the box.
Indeed.
And put my microphone in a box.
I'm loving this for us.
Also, I'm apologizing in advance because I had 2 cavities filled this morning. I've never had I have had a cavity. The last time I had a cavity, I think I was in 4th grade. So I have not had a cavity since grade school, and I had 2 that I had to get filled today, and the left side of my face is completely numb. And now that I'm speaking a lot, I'm realizing that it's hard to completely close my lips. So I hope I sound okay, but I might struggle through some words.
This is very exciting.
I'm trying really hard, though.
It's fun to watch her mouth. If you've ever seen... Also, there's a cat in here, and there may be more. So if you ever hear purring or just any noises, just be prepared for
We have 4 animals in the house right now.
But yeah, it's very entertaining. If you've ever had, if anybody has ever had any dental, anything, and had to be numbed, to watch them with half their face numb is quite fun.
Yeah. Ashlyn and my husband were making fun of the way that I was laughing earlier because apparently my lip was like covering half my teeth because it was not acting correctly.
It was perfect.
Okay, but all that being said, we are recording 1 hour after I had my dental cavities filled, and we are covering The Fine Print by Lauren Asher today.
'Tis a very, very popular book.
Yeah.
As we mentioned in our last podcast, we're transferring over kind of a new schedule, and we're doing like the most popular books that we're seeing as of right now. And The Fine Print is definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's the first in a series about billionaire brothers.
And I'm into that.
I did like it. I liked it because it's that fantasy of if money was not a question.
Right? I was like,
what could you do?
Wow. And it's definitely on par with this trope of where she doesn't care about his money, and
we'll get into that because like there was some clichéness, so
there was quite a bit of it.
But Ashlyn,
yes,
how would you rate the book overall?
Overall, I gave it a 4.
Okay. And what about the spicy scale?
Oh, I gave it a 3.
Okay. I honestly forgot what your spicy scale is. So for our people who have not looked at your website yet, what is a 3 on your spice scale?
So a 3 for me, well, on the spice scale is, we'll see, now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably technically a 4 because the thing is, so like, it's hard to really judge a spice scale when it's a slow burn because so much of the book is just build up. And like no spice happens most of the time, no spice happens during that time. So once the spice did start, it would really be between a 3 and a 4 because it was frequent enough and very descriptive. But like it was over half the book where there was nothing.
Yeah.
So
I was just looking at the tabs because I did tab when the first sex scene was, and it was just past halfway through the book. Yeah. So the first half of the book is all build up.
Exactly. So between a 3 and a 4, I mean, I would give it a 4, probably.
Okay. I too rated this book a 4 overall. Sorry if you heard that. That is my dog. He barks. He's a wiener dog, so he's vocal.
Jackson does not bark as much unless he's very excited.
Yes. So yeah, I too rated it a 4. And as for spice, I did go with a 3 just because it was not, like you said, like it was not jam-packed, but it was very descriptive. And the 3 scenes.
Yes.
3, 1, 2, 3 sex scenes in the book.
Yeah, it was, there just wasn't a ton of it, but like what there was.
It was very good.
Very good, very descriptive, very worth it. And I feel like it was, for me, for this book, it felt like just enough. Like, I don't know that I would have done too much more for what it was, just because it was a slow burn.
Yeah.
Like, if you'd started it too much sooner, it would have completely changed the whole plot.
But knowing now what I know about how much sex is in this book, people really hype it up on TikTok that it's a smutty book.
True that.
It is not smutty.
True
it is
that.
a slow burn romance that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I really enjoyed the build-up, and once it got to a sex scene, I was like, okay, we're having sex.
Here we are.
I was like, okay, all right. But I honestly enjoyed the slow burn, and the few scenes that were there, they were very descriptive. So if you're going to this book, you haven't read it yet, and you think that it's going to be jam-packed full of sex, it's not. But what is there is good.
Correct. Yeah. Just for clarification, if you're new here, we are not the people who thought that ACOTAR was smutty.
Yes.
That's where our smut level is.
ACOTAR is not smutty whatsoever. There is an element of spice. ACOTAR fades to black in the first book.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, whatever.
And,
the second book, maybe a little bit more. The third book, okay, there's, like, some descriptions there. But ACOTAR is not spicy based on our scales. Like, I would rate it a 1.
I would also
like,
rate
there's
it a 1.
sweet fluffiness in it.
Yeah, like on TikTok when they're like, ooh, fairy porn. I'm like, this was not.
This
was not. Clearly, we have very different levels of
So that's why if you have
expect.
not gone to Ashlyn's website, is thebookspicy.com. She does have a spice scale that breaks it down based on what kind of scenes you're looking for. And so that's what we're using to rate the books. And so that's why I said a 3. She said a 3 to 4 for the spice. Okay.
I think that's good.
Yeah. And then just in case you still have not read the book, it is about billionaire brothers. And the brother that this is about, he is owning an amusement park that I'm basically just going to call Disney World.
Basically.
It is like Disney World in Florida. And he's trying to make something happen, and he hires this girl, but she, like, it's all this stuff. Lots of drama.
All the stuff. It's hard to, like, say too much about the book without giving so much away. So that's pretty much, like, the gist of it.
But tropes, it's Grumpy Sunshine.
Definitely.
Kind of alpha hole a little bit.
Yeah. Supposedly age gap, but just because she was like, there's such an age difference. And I was like,
okay, but did you actually hear how old she was?
No, I don't think so.
She's 23.
Oh.
Yeah, they mentioned her age one time, and they said she was 23. And I was like,
30.
He's like 30 something. So there is definitely like almost a decade of age gap.
Yeah, all right.
Which I was thinking she was in her mid to late 20s.
That's what I was anticipating.
And towards the end of the book, they mentioned her age verbatim, and it said 23. And I was like, wow.
Wow. Okay.
I was not seeing her as a 23-year-old.
No, me either. I was definitely thinking like 27, 28.
So yeah, there's a little age gap. And then
slow burn, obviously.
There are just a couple of triggers of mental health problems. So if that's a trigger for you, you might want to skip over those sections of the book. It's not a lot, but it's like trauma from her past that she talks about with him. And
mention of suicide.
Mention of, like, not attempting, but suicidal ideation.
Yes. I think that's pretty much as far as triggers and tropes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, if you haven't read the book, this is where we tell you to stop listening if you don't want spoilers and to go read the book, and then you can come back. But if you don't care about spoilers and if you've read the book, then here we go. We're going to get into what we thought of it.
Here we go. All right. Right off the bat, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part?
Do you have a favorite part?
I mean, so I did tab all my book,
yeah.
Words are hard. I tabbed this book, and I honestly really loved the back and forth banter that they had over text when he was Scott.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of my favorite parts of the whole book was when, even though she and him, like, she had called it off with him, like, what, the third time? I don't even know.
Yeah, whatever.
And she was in the voting, and she went up to the dad and basically said, "Fuck you, you're a horrible father." Yes. And then she told him to fuck off, and then she just like walked away. And I was like, wow, Zara, that's
ballsy for a 23-year-old.
Right. Apparently to like this billionaire man. Yeah. I really enjoyed that because I feel like a lot of books don't ever give you that like oomph, just like fuck you moment. Like they kind of beat around the bush. And so I really liked that this author was basically like, fuck you, you're a horrible dad, fuck off, exit stage left, drop the mic.
Exit stage left.
Like, yeah, that was one of my favorite parts.
No, I think that's my favorite part is in that same scene, but it's very specifically when he was announcing his, like, what his plan was.
Oh, yeah.
And he had mentioned that, like, we need to invest more in our employees. Like, I fucked up in the past. This needs to be remedied. Like, we need to invest in our employees and also diversity. And I almost cried. I was like, he did this because of Ani. I know he did.
Oh, good. You say Ani too. Okay, because they're Armenian, and so I was like, I don't think that her name is Annie.
No, definitely not.
I think it's Ani.
I'm very positive it's Ani.
Zara and Ani. So yeah, and then when he had the picture of Ani in, wow, you're tearing up right now.
Haley, it really got to me.
Is tearing up. Like she's about to cry thinking about this book. I do think that was major character growth.
100%.
And it was not fast.
No, it was very subtle.
It was a subtle character growth. And then he had the picture of Ani at the end basically saying that she taught him how to like, you know, grow as a person. I was like, oh my God.
I love their whole relationship.
Rowings
and Ani's. Yeah. I mean, that was like...
And she basically like... She was like, you fucked up.
I love
like, you hurt Zara.
Yes, girl. No filter. Give it to him straight.
And when he went to the candy shop where she worked to try to talk to her, she was like, hello, sir. Can I help you pick out some candy? And he was like, Ani, we're friends. We're not friends. You hurt Zara. And I was like, yes, Ani. Stick up for your sister.
Ani is the real one. She's the best. I mean, I wish I had a sister. And if I did, I would want it to be Ani.
Excuse you.
Oh.
I thought that we were sisters.
Anywho's.
Okay.
So I will say the one thing that I wish we had gotten a little more on was her best friend, Claire.
Yeah.
And also Brady. Like, they really barely touched on Brady, but like she referenced him quite a bit throughout the whole book.
I thought his name was Logan. Is
what?
It Logan Brady?
No, I'm pretty sure it was Brady.
The ex. Yeah.
No. That's Lance. I'm talking Brady.
Oh, Lance. Brady, the grandfather. Yes.
But yeah, so I wish that... Sorry, I'm just going through all the screenshots that I'd taken. I wish they had given a lot more development to Claire, and I don't know if I just don't think we're going to, for reference, we only read the first one. So I don't know if they're going to give any more development to her in the next books, but I kind of doubt it just because they're different couples.
Well, that, and they basically gave us an epilogue of their future.
That's true. Yes.
And I do not think that the next books are going to take place that far into the future.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I feel like there was so much more she could have done with Claire because she just briefly touched and was like,
sorry, my cat is like trying to climb around the mic.
Remington, are you okay?
Can you please stop?
Are you craving attention or?
Yes.
You just want attention. You don't want my
Sorry, we're pausing for a kitty break.
You don't have to rub on everything.
Okay, you're gonna make the mic make noises.
Yeah, can you go away? Bye-bye.
He said no.
Excuse me. Not the snaps. Oh my.
Remy, go on. We'll play with you after.
Okay. Bye.
He left. He was mad at me.
Yeah, so Claire, I mean, okay, so all we really know is that they're roommates. She's a chef.
And a lesbian.
Yeah. And that was it. And I was like... Ugh.
But she got to go on a date with the chef that basically told her to get out of the kitchen during that job interview.
I know. I kept waiting for more on that.
Are they going to do a lesbian book?
I hope so. Be like, we need more Claire.
Yeah, because I liked Claire because Claire was very much like ride or die. Like when Rowan did Zara wrong, Claire was like, fuck him.
I know. And I was like, I love Claire as a character, but I just feel like I want more.
Yeah.
I feel like typically, especially with slow burns, a lot of it, usually you get more of other characters in that slow burn. Mm-hmm. But like this slow burn was really just them.
Yeah, but I think that they did highlight Ani.
They did, which was great. Ani and JP.
But yeah, I think it was very much like the extra characters were Ani, and then really that's it. I mean, kind of Declan. Like we met Declan more than Cal.
True. But even still, I think it was more like they had like 2 conversations via phone. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even... Yeah. But I liked the book overall. I think there were a lot of things that I didn't love, but I still liked enough to give it a 4.
Yeah. I thought there were some areas that were very cliche.
I would
like I honestly don't like that every time it's a billionaire book, he falls for the girl that doesn't care about money.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, I don't care. Like, if Matt were a billionaire, I'd be like, hell yes, where are we going this weekend?
I know. I'm like, not
like,
to be...
Still love you, but like, yeah, let's use some of that money that you have.
Exactly. I'm like, I mean, listen, it's one thing to be a millionaire. It's a whole different thing to be a billionaire.
Billionaire.
I mean, you literally don't even care how much money you have because it's so much. Like, I'm not superficial by any means, but if I'm dating and or marrying somebody who's got billions of dollars,
much money, yeah,
yeah. I'm like, so, hello.
You know, I would like one billionaire book where the girl's not completely like, I don't care about your money and blah, blah, blah. But yes, you know, like you would hope that they would love you no matter if you had money or not.
Yes.
But like, just saying.
Yeah.
If I had access to that money.
I'm like, when are we going to Fiji?
Let's go. I want
Tahiti. Like, where are we going?
I want the resort where the bungalow is on top of the water.
Yeah, I'm like, private jet. Hello, and it's black. Where are we going?
Yes,
you have this at your disposal.
And then she was like, "How many residents do you have?" And he said 28. And I was like, all right, can you list the locations so we know where to go for summer?
I was like, that's a lot of houses. That's a lot of houses.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have like 5.
But again,
28
billionaire versus millionaire.
I'm also curious, are all of them his?
Or are they like family estates,
yeah.
The one in New York was very much his.
Very much.
And then the other cliche moment that I highlighted, those are my orange taps, because I was not a fan of it.
Naturally.
Was clearly like, she got hurt. Remember, she was sick and she fell.
Yes.
And I get that that's traumatizing for him. But his immediate reaction was to break up with her because she's better off without him. I hate that cliche.
Me too. That's why I'm so interested in reading more of Morgan Elizabeth's books, because apparently she doesn't do that.
Okay, yes. And for people who don't know who Morgan Elizabeth is, we read... Tis the season
for revenge.
And they had kind of like this downfall, like fight. And his immediate reaction was not to break up with her. It was to walk away, clear his head. And she went after him, you know, saying, please give me another chance. And he was like, what are you talking about? There's
spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Spoiler. He was like, there's no way that I would have let you leave tonight without me.
I
Loved
know.
it.
I was like, thank you so much. Because quite frankly, in a real relationship, you don't just immediately break up with somebody after something. Like, you're probably going to talk it through. I mean, if it's a major red flag, maybe.
She literally got sick and fell.
Like, she just hurt herself. Like,
and he was already thinking about staying in Florida. Like, he was already thinking about pursuing more with her.
Exactly.
But then he realized, like, if I care about somebody... like, it's going to hurt when they're hurt.
Yes.
And he got scared. But that's something that you talk about with the other person, not go into breakup immediately mode. And, like, he broke her heart. And then he immediately tried to get back with her.
Yeah. Quite literally and I was
immediately. Like, good for you, Zara. Like, she stand your ground because that's a dick move.
I completely agree. Especially after she went through everything she did with Lance. And he knew about it.
Yes.
And I'm like...
But I don't think... They don't ever actually talk about it. Like, I think she said, yes, he stole my project. And he cheated on me. And he got engaged to the other girl.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I was referring to. There's nothing really in depth.
Yeah, like, they don't go in depth. And I really wish that their scene was, like, more. Or, like, there was more drama with Lance.
I do like how he was like, congratulations, you just got promoted to Shanghai.
And
he's
Lance
like, goodbye.
What? And then he did whisper in his ear, and he was like, people like you who hurt women like Zara. I was like, all right, that's good. I was
like, fuck him up.
But it was just like one scene. I was like, they kept talking about Lance, and I was like, all right, we're going to have like some drama with Lance.
Yes.
And it was one chapter.
Yeah.
And that was it. But I mean, to each his own. It's fine.
For me, there were many... Okay, so like, you know, when you're reading a book, you're like, what's a red flag? This is all green. I don't see anything. But like, there were very distinctly some things that I was like, oh, good Lord, that's a red flag. Like, why would you? I mean, very specifically when Zara was doing her mentorship program. Mm-hmm. And she'd put up that little flyer where you could take a little thing.
Oh.
And he took all of them just because he didn't want other people to have her phone number.
Yeah, I immediately thought red flag. And then when he told her that he did that towards the end of the book, she was like, oh my gosh, you care so much about me that you...
I was like, girl.
I was like, that is a red flag. Like, I love Rowan, but that is a red flag.
Yeah, I'm like, and, I mean, to be fair, he didn't know what it was about. But, like, ask, number one. Two, you took it for a really great cause. I'm kind of a little bit surprised, and also not, that there were only two. It was just Ani and JP. Yeah. That came to the mentorship program. But like, based on apparently them not having many diversity hires, I assume it's really because there really was nobody else. Yeah. But I do love that she pretty much was like, all right, Ani, you're with Rowan. I was like, yes, force him.
And then, I mean, it ended up being cute because he really did get attached to Ani. But yeah, I agree. I was like, that's a little messed up. It was,
yeah. There were several things throughout the book that I was like, wow, that is such a red flag. I really try not to see them when I'm reading because I'm like, I know it's not real. Like, that's not really true. But like...
Because yes, when we read a book, it's like we ignore red flags because it's fantasy and we're like, oh, I love this. But in real life, it's like, that's actually really creepy and I don't want that.
I know. But... That's extra, extra creepy. And I just feel like maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, just maybe.
And then when she, I'm looking at my screenshots. When he had called her in and basically was like, so you got a job, like, as a creator. And he just basically forced it on her. And she was like, wait, I don't want to do that. Like, I submit a drunk proposal. I don't. And then he was like, no, it's effective immediately. You'll be joining the creators team. I was like, oh.
Yeah, there was like no choice.
There was no, yeah, I was like, so she does this or gets fired, or like what are the options here?
Okay, also, did you look at the playlist?
I briefly did, but I didn't go back to it after I
There's
saw
a playlist for this book in the beginning, and it is really good.
Super side note, I'm considering on my Is the Book Spicy to add playlists if they exist.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Okay. I just want to say, she has Taylor Swift on here. And James Bay.
If you don't know, Haley is a Swiftie through and through.
And I did not get tickets to her concert.
Yeah, she was very, very sad. And also, she frequently listens to her Sad Girl playlist, which includes James Bay and Louis Capaldi and all of those.
Yeah. So she also put on here Ho Hey by the Lumineers.
What a good song.
And she put on here Can't Help Falling in Love, the Haley Reinhart version, which is what you guys walked down the aisle during my wedding to.
Oh, really?
So that's one of my wedding songs. So I was like, yes, I love Haley Reinhart's version of it. So yeah, there's some really good songs in this playlist if anyone's interested. And then the other thing that I wanted to highlight was the dedication. Mm-hmm. Or maybe not. Yeah, this is the dedication. To all the girls who dream of meeting a prince but end up falling for the misunderstood villain.
Oh, we all love a good villain.
We love a good villain.
Completely, again, another side note. I'm currently watching Once Upon a Time and...
Hook.
It's Hook for me. I'm literally like...
Hook or die.
Oh, good Lord. I had to look up because I have past trauma from... people killing off characters I like. Mm-hmm. So I had to like look at IMDb and be like,
so spoiler alert?
Well, not really. But like I went on IMDb and I was like, oh good, he's in a lot of episodes.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, he's probably not going to die. And if he does, I will be heartbroken. But
because you haven't finished it yet.
Correct. I'm only on season like 5 or something. But yeah, I love that dedication. I'm here for a villain.
Yeah, because honestly, it makes me think of Hooked by Emily McIntyre.
Yes, and they're like, I will burn the world for you.
Walking red flag.
That is absolutely
But we
accurate.
ignored all of that.
All of them. We were like, no, it's fine. fine.
I just love Hook. What are you talking about?
Wow.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to highlight in this book was that Rowan suffered from some major daddy issues.
100%.
And I felt that in my core.
I would agree with that with you. Yeah.
But I'm really glad that he was able to overcome it, because for anyone who has like parental problems, you know, a lot of the things that happen in your childhood affect you later in life and you don't realize it. You know, our parents are human and they make mistakes.
Indeed, they do.
Some parents make more mistakes than others. And just Rowan constantly thinking about like what his dad told him when he was younger, like basically saying that artistic stuff is like for pansies and he's like the weakest child and he's going to just like F everything up in his life. I was just like, you know, I feel you. My dad did not say that stuff to me, but it was like, you know, just, you know, the parental guidance, I'm using quotation marks, when you're a child can sometimes really skew how you become later in life.
Oh, yes.
So I'm not alarmed by why he acted the way he did. Like, I totally get it, but I'm just really glad that his character development had him, like, surpass his childhood trauma.
Yeah. And for those who are struggling with any past trauma, we are a very pro-therapy podcast here.
Yes.
So highly recommend to work through those things and not stick into, or, you know, not hold on to them if you don't have to. But yeah, I agree. I think Rowan definitely was very traumatized by that past experience, and I don't blame him whatsoever.
And like, he even was not even doing therapy because he said that his dad said that therapy is for people who make excuses or something.
I was like,
honestly, I love therapy.
Toxic.
I love therapy and I love my medication, so we're good.
Right? I'm like, if you can't get through the day on your normal, you know, chemical, whatever you got going on, fix it. Like, if you can, fix it. You don't have to suffer day in, day out. But yeah, no, I completely agree. He was absolute trash. And to your point, the fact that Zara told him off in the end really just made my heart happy.
That's why I was so happy, because like, coming from someone who has like those kind of issues, I was like, oh, she said like a big fuck you to him. So
just as a fun little, not getting too deep into this, but like, how would you feel if Matt did that?
See, again, in a real life, it's like, it's different.
It's very different. And the fact that like him and his dad basically don't have a relationship. I mean, like, they talk business only. So it's very different than,
like, he was surprised when he showed up on his doorstep.
Exactly. Which I was like, I can't, only because, like, not to brag, but like, I do have really great parents and like, I just can't relate to that. So it was harder for me, but like, I do understand. Yeah. I can't empathize, but I can sympathize. And
the other thing, too, is now that I'm adult and I'm looking back on things, like, I can see why.
Yeah.
And generational trauma is definitely a thing. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, like, how our parents were raised was an effect of, like, how, you know.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, constant trickle down. And honestly, I really love how most millennials are raising their kids, like, with more nurture.
Yes.
Again, don't make your child a pansy, you know. Toughen them up a little bit, but like, there's so much more like open affection and love, and it's like, okay, we're healing generational trauma. So
yeah, no, for me specifically, it like makes my heart so happy when I see like reels or TikToks or whatever where they're like, don't comment about your body in the space of children. Like, just don't even mention it. Don't even, like, when you're shopping, don't be like, ugh, I'm not going to be able to show my arms in this. Like, just don't even say it, because you're putting that into their head. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, and my mother, are sponges, quite frankly, told it directly to me. It wasn't even implied. She literally was like, are you sure you should eat that? And I'm like, I think you should fuck off. So that's my generational trauma. But
little elementary school Ashlyn, like, yes, I'm going to eat this whole chocolate bar. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. Okay, like, listen, this is a whole side story. But like, do you remember when I told you about the 5-pound?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you said that's how you got fat.
That is quite frankly how I got fat. Okay, so for the podcast listeners, I just would like to give you just this really quick backstory. This is nothing related to the book. This was actually middle school, 6th grade. I was in choir, as I was for my entire life. But anyway, I was in 6th grade choir, and we had some sort of like, I don't know if it wasn't like a competition. It was just I think quite frankly, we were like ordering shirts. Like, it was something so weird. And one person was going to get a prize for existing, I guess. And I existed so well. I got the prize. The prize was a 5-pound Hershey's chocolate bar. Okay, now I just need you, listener, right now to Google a 5-pound Hershey's chocolate bar. You literally do not realize how big this thing is until you are seeing it with your face.
I'm imagining 5 1-pound like ground beefs.
Okay, have you seen it? I
think that you showed me when you originally told me this story.
Okay, so this thing is, it's the size of your body as a middle schooler, and I won it. I didn't even know how I physically.
Oh my gosh, it is so big.
So this is...
That's what she said.
Quite frankly, yes. So here's what I would equate it to if you haven't looked it up. Imagine your torso. Okay, so it's basically the size from your torso. I would say it's probably that big.
Yeah, it is.
So that's a 5-pound Hershey bar. I don't know. I was already like a little pudgy, so I don't really know why they were like, this seems like a good idea. But they did, and I got it, and my mom was like, girl, and I was like, I'm eating this. And she was like, no, you're not. And I was like, I won it. It's mine. So she broke it off as easily as she could and froze little Ziploc baggies of it. So then I would go and grab a Ziploc baggie and just gnaw on the frozen chocolate. And that's where it all began. So that's my side story of my how I got fat. But anyway, so generational trauma.
Yeah, and we are healing it. This generation will do great things.
Yes. Wow, I'm just going to keep looking at that. So anyway, back to the book.
So anything else with the book, though? I feel like we've covered a lot of it.
I would agree. Okay, and now, now Jackson's in here.
Jackson is Ashlyn's dog, and he kind of makes honking noises. Jackson, that's a lit candle.
That's...
Oh my gosh, he almost put his nose in the flame.
He'll only do it once. Okay, so I did just want to randomly, I'm again looking at my screenshots, and yes, okay, so they specifically were mentioning when they were going around the park. Mm-hmm. So Zara took the day off because they didn't have any PTO, which was bullshit. She took the day off to like go and walk around the park and decide what was best, like what needed to be changed from that perspective. And I loved that whole day where they were spending the day together, and he was like, well, now I'm just going to spend it with you. And I was like, also, by the way, as somebody who's quite literally running a Disney World, I don't think you have that kind of time, but I love that you're doing this for her.
Right.
But they went into the spooky castle, and I was like, this is straight from Disney World. That's the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
I was like, the entire ride, they were like, and then we were in this dome and we're going around. I was like, that's the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
I've read that. I've ridden that so many times in my life. This was based, I mean, Lauren Asher, you must be a Disney fan because
yes, that's why I said, like, this is Disney World. Like, Princess Kara's castle is Cinderella's castle.
Yes.
What are you reading?
I'm so sorry. I'm just laughing. This is still... Okay, I loved their obsession with Tums because I was like, me too.
Yes, you carry Tums with you.
I felt that on a personal level. And he said, I think this was Zara. She said, you're not supposed to ride this roller if you have heart issues. And he said, I do not have heart issues. It's indigestion. She said, or a chronic side effect for being an ass all the time.
She really was super blunt with him.
Their banter was so... I know, for a 23-year-old speaking to what was he, the director?
Yeah, the director of the park.
I'm like, she is ballsy. I mean, wow, I am so impressed with her.
Okay, one other cliche thing. Mm-hmm. The epilogue, she was pregnant.
As per usual, it happens. Listen, okay.
And then the second epilogue, she was pregnant again.
Yeah, okay. So for some of you who don't know, I personally have made a choice to be child-free. I have no interest in having children. I will love all of my friends' kids as my own, but I do not have a maternal instinct in my body and I do not want a parasite, okay? So anyways... I am very partial to books that when the epilogue happens, there is no pregnancy. They're just happy. Maybe they're married, whatever the case may be. I love those epilogues. And also the ones where, it still sticks with me. I can't remember the book, but when they were like, we looked back on it was like 80 years down the road, and they were like, we looked back at our wall of memories, and I cried. But,
that was My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey.
Such a good one.
Yes.
Shout out to Tessa.
Because they did have the wall of pictures.
Yeah, but I was like, okay, first off, I don't know that we needed 2 epilogues. That felt like overkill. Yeah. We honestly could have ended it before, honestly, an epilogue. Like, I felt closure, and then we were like, and an epilogue, and I was like, oh, okay, great. And again. And another epilogue, and I was like, oh, okay, great. But I liked that. I think it was more so kind of, not a ton, but a little bit also leading into the next one. We didn't even mention this. I loved that in the first freaking chapter, she set it up for all 3 books.
Yeah, she set it up. She's like, this is what this book is. This brother has to do this.
Yep.
And this brother has to do this.
And I love that. I was like, thank you. You actually now make me want to read the other 2.
And the next one is Terms and Conditions. And I didn't know which brother that's about, but I honestly want to read Declan. I want Declan's next.
I think it is Declan.
Because I want him and his assistant to get together. And she's going to be his wife. Like, they clearly are setting it up for that. And if that's not the case, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Okay, because what was Cal's?
Cal has to get back with his ex. Or Cal has to, like, go talk to his ex or something, right?
Yeah,
like, that's what it was.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely want to read the rest of the series. Because, okay, I'm also one of the people who does not typically like series. I just don't like when it's multiple in the same universe. Yeah. Because I kind of get bored. Like, it feels like the same story over and over again, just with different characters. And, like, they're kind of the same. They're always the same personality. They always have the same whatever. But, like, I feel like this one is going to be different. If nothing else, because at least bare minimum, they're all going to have very different jobs.
Right. And the brothers are different. Like, Cal is very, like, carefree and wild. And Declan is very strict and stern. But he already has a built relationship with, what's his assistant's name?
I can't remember.
Whatever her name is, like, they already have, like, that established relationship. And so I'm like, all right, like, this will be good. Like, they know each other, but now we're gonna, like, it's kind of like friends to lovers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested. And I have no idea. I've not read it, but I don't think it's going to be a slow burn as much as this one. I
hope not.
Just because this one was so...
Like, we needed Rowan to change first.
Yes.
Like, he needed that character development.
I was going to look real quick. Oh, the last one is the final offer. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't think that the third one was out, but yes.
Oh my God, that scared me. It looks like Terms and Conditions is indeed about Declan, and her name is Iris.
Iris! I had Izzy in my head. I was like, but I don't think it's Izzy. That's Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Overall, like, it was a really good book. It was a long book, or longer than what I'm used to now. Like, I feel like we're reading, like, 300-page books.
Yeah.
But this was, like, 440 or something.
I mean, although it's hard to say because the last one we did read was the Mindfuck series, which was 500.
STAB. Yeah, but plus. I mean, that was broken up into 5 books.
Technically.
So, like, they're pretty short reads. I was like, oh, yes, I'm already done with this book. Oh, yes, I'm done with that book. Yeah, this one, though, like, it wasn't hard to read. Like,
no,
I mean, I read half of it in one day.
I personally think, after I read this, I was like, this was a very good. I go between the light and the fluffies, and then every once in a while, I need, like, something real dark. I need it to just, like, hit me in the deep end and just, like, hurt. And I think the next book that I read, personally, probably not our podcast, it's going to have to be very dark for me.
Well, the next one that we have lined up is not super dark.
No, that's fine.
But it is not fluffy.
What's the next book?
Is Matt inside?
It sounds like, unless your cats have learned how to use the water
I think
out of the fridge.
I think my husband's back inside.
He's very quiet.
Good for him. He knows that we're recording. Oh my God, my lip is so numb.
It'll only, I mean, probably give it another hour or so.
Yeah, the right side of my face is back to normal. The left side is numb.
Yep.
The next book that we're reading is Flock by Kate Stewart. So before we get into that, what are your final thoughts on this book?
Overall, I liked it. I gave it a 4. I didn't give it a 5 just because I didn't think it was, like, stellar. Yeah. But it was very good. I probably would reread this book. But yeah, no, very good overall. Obviously, as we talked about, a few cliches that I didn't absolutely love, but overall, very good.
I liked that it was in an amusement park.
I did too. It was very different from something that I
place setting.
Usually it's,
like Office romance with billionaires.
Yes, exactly. And I like that was very different.
But you do like Office romances. So.
I'm a sucker for a good CEO subordinate. I'm like, oof.
Well, that's Declan's book, so.
Give it to me.
So the next book that we're going to read that comes out at the end of May is Flock by Kate Stewart. And if you have ever read the synopsis of Flock, it literally tells you nothing. I have already read this book. I'm going to reread it so I can be, refreshed for the podcast. But I will tell you just a little more detail about it without giving anything away. Okay. This girl has a flashback. The whole book is a flashback.
Oh, great.
Okay. And it's when she moved in with her rich dad in this small town. Mm-hmm. And basically her dad is not a great businessman, so the town is kind of suffering, but he basically owns the town and they all work for him.
Okay.
And so she meets these guys who act like Robin Hood, who steal from the rich to give to the poor. And they're basically trying to change her views on what life is like versus like her dad and like the rest of the community. So it's her trying to enter into this band of brotherhood of giving back to the community, even though she has the rich father.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
And so that's not giving anything away to like this book, because there's a lot that happens in this book. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so, and it's the first of a series, a trilogy.
The only question I have, and just say if it's going to be a spoiler, is there one love interest or is this a reverse harem?
This is not a reverse harem.
Okay.
There are 2 love interests.
I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But it is not reverse harem.
Got it. Okay. All right. I was just curious because, as you said, there's nothing online, and I don't want to read the reviews because it'll be spoilers.
There's nothing online. Like when I first read the book, I basically went in blind because you don't know what it's about, and that's the best way to do it too. Because when you're reading it, you're like, wow, like this is wild.
Oh, so now you've just ruined something for us because you told us.
No, I didn't give you any details about what's so wild. Sorry, I just burped. What's so wild?
Wow. Okay.
But also, if you've seen the TikTok people of people crying, that's the second book apparently, which I have not read.
Yeah, Haley was like, because I was like, okay, so here's the situation. All we know, and this is not really a spoiler if you're on social media whatsoever, but all we know is apparently something about the phrase we love rainy days, don't we, baby, is apparently
a trigger.
It
makes people cry in the second book.
We do not know what that means.
You do know what that means at the end of the first book.
We do not know why people are crying.
We don't know why people are crying, though, about it.
But I told Haley, because quite frankly, I got a lot of personal stuff going on right now. I don't know, like, I like dark, but I don't like something that's gonna, like, just completely rip my heart out. I like it to be dark and just, like, fucked up. And I said to Haley, I need you to read this and tell me what happens.
The first book is not sad whatsoever. Like, there's, like, a couple scenes where you're like, oh, that sucks. But, honestly, I'm taking it with a grain of salt, though, because, again, TikTok, book talk,
true.
They really play this stuff up.
They really do.
And so I'm going to read the second book after I reread Flock. And then I'm going to subject myself to that to see if it is heartbreaking or not. And then I will let you know if you need to read the second book.
Yeah. I think when we're doing any sort of like podcast advertising, we need to be like somehow differentiate ourselves from like the TikTok people and just be like, we're not that. Listen, we'll give you our honest opinions because I think these people like really hype some things up. Yeah. That's just not.
But I also think that we've read so much now that we're desensitized to like the little bit of spice.
That is 100% accurate.
So if there's a little bit of spice, it's like, that's not smut. Like, that's a little spicy. Like, whatever, that's cute. But
cute. That's child's play.
People
okay.
who say Colleen Hoover is smutty, they have not read smutty novels.
See, and that's where we need to be like, I don't know. We're going to talk about that offline. Yeah. But, like, we definitely need to.
So, just so you know, like, we'll tell you straight up. So, again, Flock, yes, read it. It's not sad, heartbreaking, like the TikTok is saying.
What's the second one?
The second one, Exodus, and the third one is The Finish Line.
Okay.
Which I own all three, so I will read them eventually. But Flock is first, and that's coming out in May.
Cool. All right. As per usual, I'm going to ask it, and you probably don't have an answer off the top of your head, but what's something good that happened to you this week?
We're in our last week of April, basically, for school. So I am entering into my final countdown before summer break.
That is very, very exciting.
And I am so excited. And yeah, I'm just ready to have 2 months off.
That is super. I love that for you. And I wish I had 2 months off of my clients.
All you gotta do is work for a school.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. I hate kids.
What about you? What's something good that happened?
Well, it didn't happen this week. I already told you about it, but our people don't know. So if you don't know, because I'm pretty sure I haven't said anything, my father has stage 4 liver cancer. And I don't know a lot of the medical... Jackson, don't do it. Okay.
Oh, God. He almost knocked the mic stand over.
Lord. Okay. Long story short, apparently when you take some test, it's a blood test. Don't know exactly what it's measuring. But this test will give you a number whether your cancer is operable. So because it's on his liver, as Haley, as a nurse, would be able to say, theoretically, you don't have to have your entire liver to live. Theoretically, he could get the tumor cut out. When he was diagnosed, it was the size of a grapefruit. So
and it was pressing against the artery.
A major artery.
In the liver, so that's why it was inoperable.
When he went in and was diagnosed, which was just in December, it was this number that made it inoperable was 6,500. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the number to be operable is 6.1 or lower.
It was 6,500.
What a great number. 6,500. So, we call them his infusions. It's not chemo. It's an infusion. The one that he did he gets it every 3 weeks, so I'm just going to go by month. I believe the one that he did in March, his number was 19.
That is so awesome.
The one that he just did in April, his number was 6.2.
Oh my gosh!
So he has another infusion on Monday.
And then they're going to cut out a chunk of his liver.
They will take another blood test to see, but fingers crossed.
That is so awesome.
It will be below 6, which will make it operable.
And just so you know, Rick is... Ashlyn's dad. Rick is one of the most genuine, loving people on this planet, and he is like a second father to me. So this is wonderful news, and because Rick is such a great human, like, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be so fun, and he's gonna have like a summer to celebrate.
We're gonna be like, all right, back on the boat.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, yeah.
He's like, but I don't want to be on the boat.
Because he's still in, like, a lot of pain. Like, I don't understand. Like, the medical behind it. But, like, he's still in a lot of pain.
Is that from
just
the
like
infusion?
All over. Yeah. So he also has tumors floating around in his heart.
Right.
But, like, they had said that theoretically the infusions would pretty much just take care of it. Like, they weren't big enough to really be a concern.
Yeah.
But he's going to have a full CT scan on May 1st, which is going to really tell us everything. And that's when they'll, like, really make the decision whether or not it'll be operable. Like, the number is great, but, like, they need to see it before they make any decisions. So that is what's the good news in my month.
Awesome news. Well, that's a great way to end
Thank
the
you.
day.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rick and
Shout
all
out
of his
to
doctors.
Rick.
Texas
Yes.
Oncology, y'all are thebomb.com. All right, well, we'll catch you next month. For Flock by Kate
Stewart.
And
if you don't follow us already on social media, you can follow us at Bookaholics Podcast. And we have the email, we have the Instagram,
we have it all.
The Twitter. So
I literally check the email every day, and
it's a Gmail. So
it is a Gmail.
Is it the Bookaholics Podcast?
No, it's just Bookaholics Podcast.
It's bookaholics@gmail.com. So yeah, if you want to send us in recommendations or I don't know, whatever.
I would just like to open it for once and not get a notification from TikTok.
Oh, yeah. We don't really do much on TikTok.
No, we don't.
Maybe we should do more on TikTok.
I think we probably should.
Realistic book reviews.
I think we absolutely should.
Yeah, so check us out on any social media.
All social medias. Okay.
All right. Well, have a great week, guys. Well, month. We'll see you in May.
Month. Bye.
Bye.